Cool. Hey, welcome to Red River Podcast. We talk a lot of movies, a lot of music, pop culture, and sometimes we'll have a guest on. And today, we're welcoming Bad Mary, Amanda, and Mike. What's up?
Hello, hello. Happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, we get emails from like PR people, but like our show is like, I don't know, our show like whoever we're friends with and stuff. So I never really pay attention. And then if this email comes through and they're like, "Oh, do you want to talk to Bad Mary?" And I was just like, "Oh, I'm like maybe because we just hung out and stuff." Like I really wasn't sure. And then I talked to Dana, and she was just like, "They filmed a what with you?" I was like, "Oh, all right, never mind." Yeah, I was like, "I'll talk to them. Yeah, let's hang out." So, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This is cool. This is cool. When Dana sent me the email, she was like, they were saying you did a music video with them, and I was
Thank
like,
you for having us
yes.
on that also. That was so sick. That was so much fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the best.
Yeah, 9 a.m. tomorrow comes out. So
Sick.
Ooh, that's awesome. Good luck. Congrats. Break a leg, all those things.
It's an awesome song. I'm psyched. I'm so psyched for you guys.
well, yeah, I mean, you put these things together and it's very stressful. Obviously, you would know. I had no idea, but you had eight. Like I looked up, you have 18 music videos. So obviously, it's very impressive. You know what it is, man. So when it comes to like music, it's like so constantly changing, like how do you get the people's attention? We went from making albums to making EPs, and it's like now I'm just like, maybe I'll just ask people for 15 minutes of their time. So I know you guys have an EP coming out May 16th, which is like kind of like what we're going to talk about. So Trash and Glamour. Let's just kick it off there. So tell me basically about this album.
Well, this is our first original release post COVID. So we're very excited for it. Our first original release since 2019. We had two cover EPs kind of in the middle to keep the gears turning and keep everything flowing and just have some fun, honestly, while we got back into songwriting. But this is the first time in 3 years we've got original material coming out. It is much less conceptual, I want to say, than our last release. It's all in the title, man. Trash and Glamour. The EP is a collection of like a handful of songs, but we weren't sure initially how we were going to put them in order. And then once it clicked in the order that they're in, we're like, oh no, this is a collection. Like for a minute for us, it even felt kind of like a little all over the place because it was all of our different, some are just like fast, loud fun. Some are a little bit more cerebral. Some are complete nonsense, like The Floor is Lava. So like there's stuff all over. And we're like, how are we going to make this make sense together?
Yeah, and when you're coming off, doing a concept record, which we did in 2019, we did a concept album that all kind of had this connective tissue. And then you're going to something that is kind of, I don't know if it's back to basics, but we definitely wanted to do something that was a little bit more scaled back, a little bit just kind of fast and loud.
Not a space rock opera.
Yeah, not a 30-minute rock opera. So we took that back. We kind of scaled it down. We just wanted to start writing songs and recording songs again. And it came together really good. Like the cover EPs that we put out in 2022.
Yeah, can I cut you off for a second? Because I want.
Yes, please.
I didn't know that you put out a cover EP, so that's pretty cool. Let me just detour. Tell me what I know. I know we got The Beat was one of them, right? But what else was on there?
This is another one that was kind of all over the place because the band is multi-generational. So it's me and Mike. We're all connected by Hofstra, but my dad's our drummer. And then my professor, my friend David, who was my professor in college, is our guitarist, graphic designer. He does all the videos, mixing, everything. So everything that's like tech wise too is him. But we're all from different times. So we came together. See You Again from Hannah Montana is one of them. My dad threw Cream into the mix, so he sings vocals on White Room.
White Room, White Rabbit,
Blondie.
We did two Blondie tunes. We did
what Blondie tunes?
So we did Call Me in One Way or Another.
Okay, cool.
I think there's one on each.
Yeah, there's one on each
EP.
We Got the Beat. We did You're Standing on My Neck, which is the theme song from Daria.
Oh
Or
yeah,
yeah. So we
That's
did.
awesome.
I've been pulling for that song for so long, like since we
Oh.
started. So when we were like, we're doing cover EPs, I have
So in theory, that sounds like a lot of fun. Like I always wanted to do something like that, and we never get a chance to. I don't think we could ever agree on covers.
It's hard.
That's another
It's
thing.
hard. It's
there are
hard.
so many that ended up on like just the cutting room floor that we tried and loved, but like it just didn't. Like I'll still be like, we should do that one someday. Still, let's revisit that.
Yeah, it's really
so
tough.
tough.
It's so tough because it's like okay, we all like songs, but
Yeah.
what songs can we do
Yeah.
that fit our style and fit the vibe? So with the two cover EPs we did, Rock and Roll Classics Volume 6 and then Rock and Roll Classic Volume 7, they were just kind of, everyone was kind of throwing a few songs into the mix so that everyone's kind of interests were covered. So like we covered David's favorite band, our guitar player, his favorite band is Queen, so we covered Tie Your Mother Down by Queen, and then
That one's so much fun.
we put The Police Next to You was on there, as well as an earlier record. We put Hybrid Moments from the Misfits. So there's songs that are from every, like for like the last 50 years, there's songs
Yeah.
on the record.
The
So
Great American Songbook, except
Yeah.
they're not all American.
that
just came out of my mouth. I don't
and it
know.
was one of those things where we wanted to get back into the swing of recording, because after having like a year or so kind of not being able to do anything, we figured, hey, let's do some cover stuff. So we did the 2 cover EPs and then a holiday record, holiday EP, which has 3 songs on it. That was pretty much us kind of learning to like get back into the recording process again, so that when we started doing original music again, we were kind of back and ready to go.
Yeah. And I've also been wanting to put out a Christmas EP for forever. So this was the year for me that I was like, wait, we're putting out a Christmas EP? It's happening. Oh, we get to do these covers. It's happening. And now we're back to original stuff. This is sick. So it's like come full circle.
Yeah, it's like I guess everyone kind of chilled after like those 18 months of like the pandemic. Everyone's on Instagram, or I know you guys were doing like Twitch. Was that pandemic era?
We're still doing Twitch.
Yeah,
I don't know much about Twitch. So give me school me on Twitch.
So
it's fun.
Yeah, so Twitch is a really fun environment. Originally, kind of the purpose of Twitch was really just kind of owned and populated by gamers. So it started out with people streaming video game play to the internet, and you kind of have like the screen in screen kind of thing going on while someone be playing, while they'll be playing a game, and you'll see them like they're sitting there, and they'll have like the different kind of software to be able to stream that to Twitch. And that's where it kind of started. And then DJs started getting into it, and we were live streaming onto Facebook for a while, for probably over a year or so. Every Tuesday night we were
honestly
streaming.
I think longer than that.
Yeah,
like when
probably
we
longer.
started, we literally had like an iPhone with nothing hooked into it, like hanging from the ceiling, and just putting in like the rough sound that came through. We were like, I guess we'll try streaming. And then that laid a good groundwork for us to kind of step into Twitch, because since we'd already been playing around with streaming before, it was like the thing you had to do to really kind of just be seen or get out there. So when we kind of transitioned onto the other platforms, because it goes to YouTube, Patreon, Facebook, Twitch, and kind of Instagram all at the same time. And all of the comment feeds are fed into one place. So we can read and see all the comments from everywhere and try to kind of like respond to everybody in real time. But what's awesome about it is that people from everywhere, it took a while to get used to, it honestly did, because interacting with people from a stage, talking to a crowd in person is very, very different than not being able to make eye contact and just kind of trying to read usernames and comments and keep track of it as it's flying by. But you can have people in the same chat room that live in Ohio and Japan and Brazil and all this all at the same time in the same space. And that is what's really, really cool about it.
Yeah. So, and it's what I was going to say, what I really like respect about what you guys do, from what little I know now, obviously just meeting you and stuff like that, you guys really seem to have like that part of it down. And I think you're willing to do a lot of this stuff, to like almost like adapt to whatever it means to be a band today. and I think you guys are doing a very good job of it. I saw like some of the Twitch video, like I was going through like the YouTube and stuff like that, and reading the comments and all that other stuff, and it's it's tough sometimes because like someone like me, I'm just like, I just want to play music. I don't want to do any of this stuff. But man, you guys crush the social media game. So cheers to you.
Yeah, thank you. It's
it can be a grind, and there are some days where like we literally have a phone about it. Wow, I'm just gonna say the word phone. A song about it just being glued to your phone, and the itch has turned into this like big crowd bit almost. But it's like I even started off kind of not making fun of it, but it's just like here's this thing we all have all the time now, right here.
I love that video. I love that video. What's it called?
The Itch.
The Itch. Okay, yeah, that's off like
that's
the
new,
Itch, right?
That was off.
That was the space opera. That's Return to Space Girl.
Yeah,
so that was part of that.
Yeah, that's from a few years ago. So
there was one where like the background was like social media, maybe like Google. Like,
Motormouth.
Yeah, it's Motormouth.
That
I love that. That was really good.
Yeah, that was
David.
Yeah, that David, our guitar player. He's a designer and
big fan of green screen.
Yeah, big fan of green screen stuff. But he taught, he's kind of taught himself animation. He's taught himself all that video production stuff, and he's done a lot of filming and directing and things like that for films that he's done. He's also like a technical director for theater and a set designer and all that stuff. So all of our music videos are pretty much conceptualized and done by him. And what he wanted to do with the Motormouth video, because that song is pretty much about it was kind of like, it's weird because we put it out a few years before the pandemic, but it's kind of like about social media, kind of the dangers of like social media aggression, right? And social media like almost like bullying, and all the text and stuff coming up on the screen. Like that was David's concept for that. And
well, also it's just whether you have like a huge platform and a inbox full of messages, or you have like a small, like whatever it is, you're constantly inundated, whether it's messages, whether it's advertisements, whether it's comments on other people's posts. And it's so much, and having to do the social media of it, there's a lot of stepping back you have to do while you're actively working on it that I need to remind myself of. I've gotten a lot better with that, but you can get sucked into it, and then that becomes the job, not the music, where the making the music is really the goal. That's what all this other stuff is for. Because I'm with you. Like if we could just play music, like we love talking with fans and everything online. Like I'm not saying that being able to connect with people is great, but
yeah, it's almost like the live streams don't count. Yeah,
that's just
it's
fun
like
for
that's
us.
not what
setting it up can be a pain in the butt, and technical difficulties are a pain in the butt.
But like we don't really consider that the live stream things we do to like Twitch and stuff. We almost don't consider that the social media aspect of it, because that's kind of fun for us, because it's kind of like we're playing a show. But when we're talking about like having to put an Instagram post up every day, having to put something on Twitter every day, having to find people that might like your stuff on Twitter by finding new followers and reaching out to them and sending them messages, it's an absolute total grind.
Yeah.
And
TikTok is still
TikTok, forget it. We have no idea.
So TikTok is funny. So like I opened up a TikTok first, right? And that lasted about a month. I just everything else. I'm like, I'm pretty. I'm very tapped in with Facebook. I'm tapped in with Instagram. Those are like the two. Twitter, kind of, sort of, not really. Like Twitter is like the one where I'm like, I guess I have to put it up on Twitter now, even though like I never even pay attention. But TikTok is a motherfucker, and I opened it up, and I'm just like sitting there. And unless you're willing to kind of like make that type of content, it's pointless.
It's a whole other job.
Yeah.
It's a whole other kind of, you're creating your music as your content. Like that's really the goal. And like we have this conversation all the time of like, let's do TikTok. And it's like, you need to create a whole other production schedule just for TikTok, or just throw random stuff up. And this is why TikTok is also wild. My friend had a post yesterday. It was of like a 5-second little reel of like a before and after picture. 2.2 million views. She got 2.2 million views, like 260,000 comments or something like that. And at the end of it, I think she got like 300 more followers or something, which is a lot of followers in one day from something, but like for something that went 2 million views. So that also for me, I was like, that's awesome. And that's got to be a wild ride. But you can't force that to happen.
No, to me, it's like Powerball. Like when you watch Channel 5 at the end when they would do like the lotto shit, and to me, I'm thinking like because like I have a niece who like has a shit ton of TikTok followers, and I know people that have a whole bunch, and I'm thinking like, well, you're not really doing anything at all. Like I don't understand. It's like it's like a lottery ticket to some things where I'm just thinking like you have 30,000 followers and you basically post the same video over and over again. So to me, I'm like, it just I'd rather play blackjack. I don't want to hit slots, because it's like I gotta manage my time somewhere. Maybe if I was 25, I guess I'd be like, that's cool. But if you could maximize TikTok, good for you. Good for anyone who could maximize anything. It's just I had to cut it off there because I'm like I'm like good at these things, so I'm gonna leave this one alone.
That's exactly where we're at. I think it's good for sketch comics or stand-ups, to be honest. I think that is the performance art form for TikTok, I think, where like you can create your own content while creating TikTok content because it's all about like timing, comedy, like that. Like, so that I think, that's not what we're doing.
We were on once. So my girlfriend and we went to go see this comedian, Jessica Kirson, I forget. And I didn't know she was filming anything. and like they sit us right in front of her and she starts doing like relationship counseling to us, and like we didn't think anything of it. Like the show was in January, and like come March there's like a clip and we're on Instagram and everyone's like, holy shit, it was like 100,000 views all over the place, and it's like me and my girlfriend and she's like giving us advice. So yeah, comedians do very well with that.
Yeah, that's kind of it's a good platform for them, especially because you can like kind of make the content a little bit more bite-sized. Now, TikTok allows you to do up to 3 minutes now, but I don't know if people on TikTok are actually sitting on one video for 3 minutes or they're just trying to get their swipe through kind of fix on it because it's so random. And like from what I've realized from TikTok, it's like all the content you make for it has to kind of be evergreen because you don't know when someone's going to stumble across your TikTok. I've put TikToks up, and most of my personal things that I do on TikTok that I've tried to do have been all video game related. And my stuff sometimes will like get a few views, get a few likes, but then like 3 or 4 months later, I'll start getting likes and views again. And I'm like, where did this come from? So it's a totally different animal. So you can't be like, this is what I'm doing on May 11th, 2023. It doesn't work like that. It's not like Instagram where like your Instagram story is kind of like, that's what it is. It's like, that's what we're doing right now.
TikTok, here's our show tonight. Come today. You know?
So, which I love. I love that part of it. That's why I love Facebook and Instagram. Like those are like the two things where it's like, whenever I catch a 30-day ban on Facebook, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, you guys are fucking up my podcast. You're fucking up my EP release, and all that other stuff. But and TikTok, the one thing that I will say, I always, someone's like, oh, I have 50,000 this and that, and I'm thinking like, can you get 3 people to a show? Because if you can't, then I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but that's ultimately too, though. That's part of it, right? It's kind of like that's why for us, the social media presence we built was we did through Twitter and then through Instagram and a little bit of Facebook, and then we started doing the live streams, and that's when we started doing the live streaming is when people really started to connect with us, when they started connecting with us on a personal level. So this is when we actually started to have conversations with people, and that transferred over to Facebook and Twitch when we were doing all these things, and YouTube as well, and Patreon when we were more aggressive about Patreon. And we noticed that some of those people, if they were local, they started to come to the shows more frequently, or some people from the local shows that would come to see us would actually show up on the Twitch feed. And now we're in a point that we've made so many of these friends on the internet that we've connected with. So for example, this is going to be a plug. You're part of the plug. So on September 3rd, when we play at Amityville Music Hall with Playing Dead, Tsunami Bomb, and the Dolly Rots, we have people who have bought plane tickets to come to New York because they're seeing these bands that they want to see. And these are all people that, like, we have people that were Texas that are flying up. They're friends of ours that we've met through Twitch and social media, and who watch our views every week, who might actually just all hop in a car and carpool up from Pennsylvania.
That's part of it, is that they've become friends with each other also, which is wild.
So it's a beautiful thing. So it's one of those things where it does connect people and it can get people to come, but you're 100% right. It's like, oh, you got 1 million TikTok followers, but will they actually come see you? And that's the hardest transition to make, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's just, yeah, that's really what it just comes down to. And it's not, Long Island, especially now in the hemisphere that I feel that we're in, man, we play with a lot of really good bands. Like we play it's not like a shortage of it's not like we're playing with like 100 shitty bands. There's a lot of really good bands, and I've seen some of the best bands that no one even gives a shit. Like I'll see a set and I'm like, this band should be fucking playing, Hammerstein Ballroom, and yeah, so it's just a matter of like, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think like when you ask me personally, like I just like writing songs. I like the feeling I get when I finally get that right chord progression, when I finally get that right melody. And to me, like that's like what keeps me going back. I never got sick of like the songwriting. So actually, just if you want to go there, like what is your songwriting process like, with the four of you?
So there's like two ways that songs happen with this band. First of all, just full disclosure, we split everything 4 ways. So we're all considered, like, we're all writers on each and every song. So it is a collaborative process.
And there are some, even with these two processes, there are some outliers that kind of like came about completely differently.
But the way it usually starts is like, I come up with a chord progression. I'll come up with a vocal line. I'll come up with a hook. And Amanda and I will work on that together and we'll flesh it out. I'll write some lyrics, have an idea, or give it to her. I'm like, this is my idea. Can you like flesh out the lyrics? And then, or the other process is David does pretty much something similar where he pretty much kind of structures the whole thing. And then we bring these songs into rehearsal.
David will come up with the musical arrangement for the most part.
Yeah. But not always the vocal line. David will give me a rhythm and the lyrics that he's written, and he's like, I want it to be like ba 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 da 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 da, and like we'll maybe have like a loose melody, and then I kind of like stand and listen to them play it for however long and kind of get it in my bones. And between me and David, he'll kind of be like, I like that. Okay, no, change that. Oh, I like that. Okay, keep that. So like I'll play around with stuff, and we'll kind of figure that out. And yeah, whereas like with Mike, when I write a song, I usually have the vocal line and the riff and the chord changes for the most part. And like, if I don't have the lyrics, I have an idea of what I want the song to do and maybe some good choice lyrics that I like. And then what we do is either of us, when we're in the songwriting process, we'll bring it into the studio. We all meet at David's house. He built a studio in his basement. That's where we do our live streams from. That's where we do all the Twitch stuff from. And that's where we do all our recording. So we'll bring everything into David's basement for like a songwriting rehearsal. And that's when the band gets together and fleshes it out. The band goes, we should change this. Let's put this here. Let's try this different syncopation. Bill, do some cool stuff on the drums. Because both David and I are both like, I don't know how to write drums. But Bill, our drummer, and I'm not just saying this because he's my father-in-law.
He's my dad.
Bill is 100% one of the most gifted and creative drummers I've ever had the privilege to play with. He's been drumming since he was 4 years old, and you can hear it because like when Bill is playing, you'll hear like the 60s, and then you'll hear the 70s, and then he'll snap into the 80s. It's so
he's played all of it
because he's played all of it. He's been around that long.
All right. So what was it like then growing up with him for you, Amanda? Like how does being in a band with your dad even begin? Like how does that start?
I was brought home from the hospital in a baby onesie of his band at the time. So the first item of my own clothing that I ever wore was essentially a band t-shirt. Yeah. It was my dad's band. He was a member of a Long Island-based group called Pipe Dreams for very long. I think 13 years. And he's still friends with the members of those bands, still plays music. My dad's in like 3 other bands also. And he plays bass, plays other instruments. He just hangs out and plays drums with us but yeah, no, thinking about how it formed. I grew up, clearly there was always music. Like my grandmother, his mom was a big band singer. His dad played guitar. There's a picture of him that he posted on Facebook every so often, but it's him sitting with the drum in between him and two brushes that his two uncles were like, okay, wait, we need percussion. And he's like 4 at the time. And they're in my great grandma's basement, I guess, with like a bass and like the stories he tells about the family parties. And it's starting to happen in our family again now, which is wild because more people play instruments and just bring them over to the house. But he's like, we used to just sit around and jam. And we would play songs that everybody knew and say, and that's how he started, was playing in the basement with his family, which is also wild that now we're again playing in a basement with my family.
Very cool. My parents
Yeah.
had the worst taste in music, so I'm living through you right now.
No,
You know, there was no musical talent there whatsoever. They like garbage fucking disco. Yeah, I don't know. There was nothing really I could say about their musical taste back then or today. So I'm enjoying absorbing that. Shout out to Bill.
Yeah, Bill's a beast.
But I grew up as a theater kid. Like that's how David and I connected because he was my professor in the theater department. So I went for like acting and musical theater, but I always did rock musicals. Like there's so many classics that I never ever did because I was doing like Tommy or the Rocky Horror Show or like all that because that's what I wanted to do.
Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
I did Hedwig. Yeah,
Hedwig.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
That is.
Amanda, I will say this because she won't. I saw Amanda in Hedwig in 2019. No, I think it was 2019. I think it was the same year we went to Japan.
I'm gonna go with Mike on this one because I don't know what happened.
It might have been 2018, but I don't know.
What did you did you play Hedwig or like?
I was Yitzhak.
She was Yitzhak.
I was Yitzhak. I was the guy Hedwig's husband.
It was very good. It was honestly, it was incredible.
Gummy bears or no?
Yes. Yes. Gummy bears. I threw airheads at the audience. And Nick was awesome. Nick was awesome. Is the director. That's the last theater I've done because we've really focused more on the band. But that was a show like I almost came out of retirement for because it floated around and I was like, oh my God, do I go audition for this? Do I go audition for this? Do I have time? I will regret it for the rest of my life if I don't. This is my dream show. Like I listen. And when we talk about influences, I need to always remember John Cameron Mitchell and his name is escaping me now and I feel really bad. Steven Trask. Oh my God. He follows us on Instagram. Steven, if you hear this, I remember your name. I love you. I love your music. I'm sorry that happened. But I need to quote them as influences all the time because that Hedwig has definitely affected the way I perform even before I did the show. I know that for a fact. But this
I was just gonna say, like, I remember when I first saw the movie, like a friend of mine showed it to me, and it was just like pretty blown away. Like it was like I guess it was probably like the year that it came out, or maybe the year after. And I'm like, I like every single original song in this fucking movie. You know, like it's just unbelievable. And when people don't know it, I'm like, oh shit! It's just one of those movies that you love to show to people. You're like, you got to watch this for sure. So,
yeah.
Being with that live, there was one night where Sugar Daddy started, and the whole audience was just stomping their feet. Like you felt the theater shake, and I was like, this is why I do this. This is why I do this. This is wild.
I recently referenced it. And it's funny. I'll say it because it's a joke. So we got put on something called the Jason Festival, which is happening in like New Jersey. But we're like the opening band. I think like 12:30 or some shit like that. And I was like, I hope it's cool, or it's gonna look like this. And I picked like the Menzies Fair clip where it's like them playing to that one person in the crowd. I'm like,
she really loved it. She really loved it.
I'm saying, yeah, just happy to be there. Just happy to be there.
Oh, that's amazing.
So,
we've all had those shows also.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there.
Those are some of the best memories, though. They're the funny stories.
We've never played a festival, so I mean, we'll be there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Break a leg.
Yeah, for sure. I could honestly say that, like now it's like, oh, we played right before Bleachers. So, which I love. I don't know if you guys are Bleachers fans, but I love Bleachers. Cool. Okay, yeah. So
I went on a big tangent. But how I came to be in a band with my dad is essentially kind of the origin story also of like the band itself. So
yeah. So you want me to go with it? You want me to be the chronologer here?
Well, do you want to start it and then I'll
Yeah. How about I start it, you pepper it in, because I need the details. I got the timeline and then you got the details.
You could do you could do the harmonies.
Yeah, exactly. I'll play by play.
Cut us off whenever you need to, because we will just talk.
This is like one of those episodes where it's like an introduction. It's like, okay, well, who are you to the people that don't know you? You know, so it's like, okay, cool, just tell us.
So we started with so at Hofstra, David has a band.
David Henderson.
That's called David Henderson. That's his name. His band is called David and the Hendersons. It's a band that is formed out of theater department students, and those students
they're actually playing today.
They are playing today. Those students actually perform at all of like the theater functions at the school,
like the one happening today,
and stuff like the big parties, and they perform, and it's a cover thing, and it's a lot of fun, and kids get into it and all that. So Amanda and I were in one version of this band. This band is a revolving door. It's been around probably for close to 20 years now. So Amanda and I were in one of these versions of the band. And after one of our shows, I kind of turned to the band. I'm like, hey, you guys want to keep playing? And they were like, actually, yeah, why not? So we stepped away from just being that cover band, and we changed our name to Madam X.
With that though, most years people like will graduate and go back to their home state, or they'll go on a tour, or they'll kind of disperse and disband. This was the first year, like we had so much fun as a group, and we were staying pretty local. So that was like, this never happens. We can still play.
So we could still practice. We could still play. So we started to play, and we started to play more. We created this cover band called Madam X. And then the person who was playing bass at the band at that time left because they were living in New York City and they didn't feel like doing the whole commute anymore. And now they're out in California. So I started playing bass again, which is something I hadn't done in years. And I'm actually probably better at bass than I am at guitar.
You were rhythm guitar, right?
Yes. And what?
You were rhythm guitar?
I was playing rhythm guitar, and I drove the car.
And we were a 5-piece at the time.
Yeah, we were a 5-piece at the time. And then bass player leaves, and then the drummer left. She got an internship with Disney, so she was working down at Disney World. And then we needed a drummer. So Amanda was like,
I was just kind of like, so I know a guy.
Yeah.
I could see if he'd be interested. Give me a minute. And so the thing with my dad, and this is how I came to be in a band with my dad, because I grew up doing theater. So the band that he was in when I was a kid, the lead vocalist, or one of the lead vocalists, Gene, did community theater and got me involved in their like children's program and whatnot. So my first foray into performing with him was he would play in the pit, you know, when we did the musicals and stuff. He's like, yeah, I'll come play drums for the musical. This is awesome. So like we did Tommy together, except I was on stage and he was in the pit. And like we did all these shows like together, but just that way. And it was kind of, I think, he told me much later after we started, but he was like, when you were born and when you started singing and stuff, he's like, I always thought, man, it would be really cool to be in a band with her someday. Lo and behold. So when I called him, and my dad also went to Hofstra. So my first semester of Hofstra was my dad's last semester of undergrad. So literally my first semester of college, I'm carpooling to school with my dad, who's also going to class.
Wow.
Which was honestly awesome. Like my friends loved him. Like I would be walking on campus and I would see a group of my friends and I'd go run over and my dad's in the middle of them. I had no idea. He's just hanging out with them separately. And I'm like,
I'm just picturing Rodney Dangerfield back to school. But that's,
well, he had a blast.
He did have a good time.
But then he worked at the university for a bit. So we all had that connection, and he played drums for, I did Footloose when they did that as the musical. So they called him in to play drums for the drama department, which is how he and David kind of already knew each other a little bit. Mm-hmm. So when I did call him, he was like, yeah, I'll come and sit in for a couple practices. And we were still playing the covers at that point. And our old bass player was still in the band at that point. So we were still a 5-piece for a bit, still kind of playing the covers. And then when Andrew left, and then when you hopped over to bass, we were still doing covers, but then that original music itch kind of started, and I'll pass that back over to Mike, because that was more of a him and David.
So we were getting tired of just doing the cover thing. And this was probably around 2011. And I remember going to David, probably close towards the end of 2011. I went to David. I'm like, hey, I met with him because I was working at Hofstra too at the time. I was working at the admissions office, and he was in his office at office hours. So we would meet sometimes and like go through our parts. So I went to him. I was like, hey, I kind of want to write original music. And David was like, at first was kind of like, not that he didn't want to, but he was just like, just so you know, once we open that door, we're not going to be able to close it. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. I think this band could do more. So we agreed as a band to start working on original music. And in 2012, the end of 2012, we became Bad Mary because Madam X, which was the cover band, really couldn't exist anymore because there's about 1 million bands called that. It's a painting, it's club, it's a movie, it's all this stuff.
Yeah, if you type it into Google, 800 million things come up that aren't us. So it was like
not good. So we started as Bad Mary in 2012, and then our first album came out in 2013. And we've been writing and recording pretty much primarily original music ever since for the last 10, 11 years. So
awesome.
Yeah. So it's the 10th anniversary of our first album this year. And we have some plans for that later in the year. And that's pretty much how it became Bad Mary. It's kind of been our thing for forever. I love it. And it's been such a great ride so far.
And I do love that. I joke about it all the time because like my dad and I, like we haven't gone on a vacation or a family vacation in forever, but I'm like, we don't go on family vacation. We go on tour. Like that's
I mean, Japan seems like a pretty decent family vacation, I heard the Kit Kat game is crazy. No. Yeah. Mike's bringing some back for sure.
I'm going to devote a suitcase to candy probably.
Yeah, I'll fill a carry-on with it.
Yeah, so the cover thing is cool. Like we have a band called Cover Me Bad.
Oh, cool.
So, since 2011, like some of us in other bands form this maybe 4 times a year, 5 times, probably 4 times a year, like Halloween, New Year's, shit like that. And then we'll get together and we'll just play like a 32 song cover set. So we do that like 4 times out of the year just to kind of like get the rocks off and kind of like, it's like a really fun thing. Like we used to do like house parties. So it was just and I barely sang. Like once we started playing, like everyone grabbed the mic from me anyway, so that's really what we like. But yeah, playing covers is a lot of fun, especially if you dedicate 11.5 months out of the year to writing, because I'm a writer. I love writing all day long. Like we have 5 we just put out in February, we have another 5 that we just finished, and I have like another 13 in the clip for like next year.
That's
nice.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Always do it. Always continue to write. I love that.
I mean, never said they were good. I just said we have them. So
Hey, you know what?
What you have already, and it's good. So I have a feeling that they're probably great.
Yes,
trying to
absolutely.
Get one. At the end of the listen, when I see an EP, it's always good to have that one banger. Where you like for every EP, if you have 4 EPs, 5 EPs, whatever, as long as you have that one that everyone loves, and then a bunch of good songs and stuff. So for this record, Trash and Glamour, what is like the one that you feel like like the most hype about? I know that there was like 3 videos from it. So I guess Light It Up was the first one. So I mean, I guess that's the one you probably feel the most about, right?
We like that one. I feel like
that was the first one that was written.
That was the first one that was written. So I feel like this EP is weird with that. To be honest, because at first we're like, okay, cool. We did a video for Light It Up. We're like, oh, really digging this song. And then we did The Floor Is Lava, and we're like, oh, cool, that has a video. We really like this song. It's really weird. The video's strange. It's a fun like B-52 style.
It is really fun. That was a fun video. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun to shoot.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to shoot. And then we wrote It's All Trash, and we put that together. And David had a video, and that one started to kind of take off a little bit. It got played. It was getting play on Sirius XM. It got put on the Little Steven's Underground Garage channel.
Cool.
Kelly Ogden of the Dolly Rots, she had it as like her pick of the week. when it released, and then it was on like Coolest Songs in the World, which is like the sister station.
We need to always thank Rodney
So we
Bingenheimer
gotta
also
thank-
because he pushes our anytime we've sent them stuff.
Yeah.
Rodney's always had our back. So just
Rodney,
thank you to Rodney.
yeah, Rodney Bingenheimer over at Little Steven's Underground Garage. He has a show on Sunday nights, and he's been playing our stuff for years. Pretty much whenever we send Rodney's team anything, Rodney and Julio and who's working on and Mike who are working on the show now. Anytime we send it to them, I mean, they play our stuff. So they've been a huge support. Actually, oddly enough, they've been playing our cover of "See You Again" by Miley Cyrus like every week for
They
the last
like
few
the
weeks.
Hannah Montana. I don't know.
We don't get it, but yeah, it's all
But
trash
the
is a big one.
CP
It's a big one.
It's a big one. Like everyone needs, a long time ago, a friend of mine once told me who was in bands, and he's like, you guys are cool. He's like, you just need someone else to let everyone else know that you're cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was so funny the way you said it, but like everyone has that, they need that one person, that's like, oh no, this is cool. I like this, and then they share it or they show someone else, and yeah, it's cool that they do that for you,
Yeah, no, it's really awesome. And as for the EP, if you asked us what we think the big banger is, what we tell you might be different than what other people latch onto.
I will say there's one that the recording I think is more of a banger, but the live version of the other is when we play It's All Trash live, I've had a full room of people just screaming It's All Trash back at me in my face. So like that is just fun to have a room of people just going It's all trash, and like everyone, they're just quick easy words that you can get behind. So playing that one out has been a lot of fun because the room goes berserk immediately because you just throw your hands up in the air and you're like, yeah, it's all trash.
And the video is
That's-
very cool. I think the video
Yeah.
is super cool. Out of like the 3 videos, I think that's like my favorite one. And visually, goes with the title, the way you're dressed, completely, and then like where you are.
It's all trash.
You're like amongst trash, but you're kind of like glammed up,
Yeah, it's in the that was shot in the
Kings Park.
Kings
Oh
Park.
yeah, I knew.
setting.
I trust me.
Well, they can't say anything
As
about
soon
that.
as if you're from Long Island, you know exactly where the fuck you are. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, for sure.
Big
Yeah.
thank you to Crispy Dorado. If you follow that Instagram, she led us through that whole place, and I would have gotten lost 800 times without that guidance. But also a music creator, video creator. She's amazing, Crispy Dorado. Thank you for helping us not get lost in there, because I would still be there if you were not there with us.
Yeah, that was intense. But I think for us though, when it comes to these songs, the ultimate goal is to obviously record them, put videos out, get them for people to hear. But we always want to write and record songs that we want to perform live. That's the biggest part. Like for us, it builds to the live performance. And I think for us, that's our biggest payoff. Our biggest payoff is getting in a room with a bunch of people, having a good time, doing the hey-hos and the claps and the It's All Trashes in the face and throwing candy and glow rings and, taking selfies and
It's
doing
my
all that
therapy.
nonsense.
It's just such good energy.
Yeah.
But this EP, when you were talking about your songwriting process and our songwriting process, this EP, I feel like was very different recording from previous ones, because we didn't like go into the studio with them already, or we didn't like Space Girl, we kind of were writing them all and then we would go in and record. This one we literally like, okay, here we wrote this song, okay, now we're recording this one, okay, now we wrote this song, okay, now we're recording this one. So earlier when I was like, there were a bunch of songs and we weren't sure how we were going to collect them, because I was like, okay, this one's really wacky and this one's very cerebral and this one's about trash and this one is The Floor is Lava, and how are we going to make them make sense? And we talked about the order for a while, and then the order that they ended up in, when you listen to it at the end, I was like, I don't know how we did it, but this makes sense. I don't know how or why, but it actually does.
We're big dummies. I don't know why we just throw stuff together. Like I feel like you guys are super well thought out then, because we would never have thought to even like, to us, we just throw shit against the wall. So to make it cohesive, even to like have, like you said, a concept album. I feel like the both of you are super thoughtful on a lot of the things that you do. So cool.
You got to throw a bunch of shit against the wall first for a while before you get to wait, I threw that shit against the wall last time and it worked. So let me try that this time and then build from that. Cause like even with streaming, we hung an iPhone from the ceiling and didn't plug anything into it. So we just were like, let's see if this works. I don't know. And then now because of trial and error and what worked and what didn't work and all this, we've gotten to a different point. So there's a lot of fun in that, in the throw stuff and see what works stage, because that's where the creativity, happens. And that's partly why, like, Better Days, our first album, this is the 10-year anniversary, probably going to re-record and play with some of those songs, because that first time we did not know, we just put the album together and we didn't record it the same way we're recording it now. It was on different equipment. David had never really mixed anything before. So it's great. And I love it. I love it as the piece that it is.
Yeah.
But now we've lived with those for 10 years. So it's like, okay, what we did 10 years ago, let's see if we can take that with what we've thought about and kind of had time to sit with and see what it turns into new now.
I mean, and some of those songs are part of every set list we play. There's a few songs off of Better Days that it's almost like if we don't play them live, people will get mad with us. Like if we don't play songs like we have a song called Ninja, we have a song called Forget About It. Those are songs that are in every set because they've become like part of the entire performance of it all. But
we've gotten flack when they're not there.
Yeah,
we're like, okay, put it back. It's fine.
Ninja.
I'll throw a sticker at your face. It's all good.
It's all good. But I think with the whole like idea of how to construct things, I think, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we obsess over it, and sometimes I feel like we just throw stuff out there, and it's like you throw it out there, but for some reason it works out. It's like, this should be the order of the record. I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's fine. Let's do it. So it's not always. Sometimes it's just
I'm an underthinker.
Yeah, but that's good though.
To me, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. We'll just do that. But every now and then it comes back to like bite me in the ass. But like for the most part, it's like, I just. Even when we get mixes back, I'm like, that's cool. And then someone else will be like, no, it's not. I'm like, all right, then do it again.
I totally get that. I totally get it. But I think, it's just, you got to speak to whatever your process is, right? If your process is more laid back and it's more kind of underthinking it, then underthink it.
I want to bottle that and have some, because I overthink everything.
Okay.
So please, I'll exchange some of my neurotic overthink. Because it is true. Like I would happily, please give me some of that.
It's so, I think it just comes down to, I know you mentioned hybrid moments, in the very beginning. The only band tattoo I have on me is a Misfits tattoo. I'm a big Misfits fan. And to me, like whenever someone talks to me about like, production or whatever, I'm thinking like, what do I know? I like Walk Among Us,
Yeah.
Because to me, I'm thinking like, I just love the songs. I'm able to just look at the songs and be like, this is a really good song. Where other people will be like, the snare sounds like shit, like the drum sounds like shit, the guitar, it's like, maybe. But to me, you hear hybrid moments and you're like, this is fucking great. It's so good. You know?
Yeah. No, but I totally agree.
There's a place and time for everything. If the record we're doing now is the most money we've ever spent on anything, and it sounds the best. So I mean, we decided to just like splurge a little on this one. We're like, all right, you know what, let's just do it. So it's everything has a place and time, and I'm sure we'll do something super cheap next time. But cool. So yeah, all right. Record comes out May 16th. You got 6 songs on it, and that's about it. You're going out to Japan. So like before we wrap this up, the Japan thing's super interesting. So like, what was the relationship there? Like, how did that happen? Because it's for a local band, it's kind of like a big deal to just go to another country. I believe that's what they're called.
Yes.
I have no idea. I'm very bad at geography. So like, that's kind of a trip. How'd that happen?
So it's a funny story, and it's kind of just all about it's the story of send that email, make that connection. So what happened is that it's that whole story. It's the Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of shots.
Yeah. Actually,
it's Michael Scott quoting Wayne Gretzky is how it actually goes.
Thank you, Michael.
So from The Office.
Yes.
So Wayne Gretzky in this situation, we had someone reach out to us via the mailing list or email list, which has been something we've been building for like 10 years. We sent an email. He sent an email to us going randomly like, hey, do you ever submit your music to Rodney Bingenheimer on Sirius XM's Little Steven's Underground Garage? They take submissions. And the guy said, he's played my music before. And I forget the name of the person who was in our email list. I'm forgetting the name, but he messaged us saying, he's played my music and your music is way better than mine, so you should submit your music. So David was like, hey guys, I'm going to just submit a song. I mean, we would submit one song at a time, and time after time after time, it got played. And we were like, okay, but Rodney's awesome. Keep submitting stuff to Rodney. And he's still playing our music, like we said before.
Thank you, Rodney.
And then thanks, Rodney. And then one night, Amanda and I were in, it's 100% true.
It's magical.
We were in the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World on a vacation. Amanda's mom worked for Disney, so we would go down there a lot. And we were in the Magic Kingdom. It was like 8:00 at night on a Sunday. And Amanda comes out of the bathroom, and it's if for those of you who know Disney World, it's the bathrooms right by like Main Street, USA. She comes out of the bathroom, and I've been sitting down looking at Facebook, and I'm like, hey, I think you need to see this. And she was like, what? I looked down and I show her on my Facebook, and then I copied the band in our message. I said, and it says, Mike Rogers in Tokyo, who is a DJ, a terrestrial DJ in Tokyo, is playing Bad Mary. And I said, there's a DJ, a legitimate DJ in Japan who is currently playing our music. And the band was like, oh my God. So I was like, I'm going to message this guy. So I reached out to Mike and I said, Mike, thank you so much for playing our music. It turns out that he worked for Rodney when he was still in America many, many years ago in Los Angeles.
I think at K-Rock.
Yeah, I think it might have been K-Rock, or Rodney at the Rock is the name of his show. So Mike was one of his assistants, and Mike went over to Japan and had a really great radio career, broke a lot of bands over in Japan. And I reached out to Mike and I said, hey, Mike, I saw that you played us. Thank you so very much. This is so cool. He reached back out. We had a talk back and forth. And I'm like, you know what? As a band for forever, we were like, what's the one place we think we might be able to like maybe have some fans or do well? And all of us were like, let's just go to Japan. Amanda and I honeymooned there. I studied abroad in Japan.
You literally had released a song called Japan about like, and one of the lyrics is like tour Japan. Yeah. Like it was just something that we've been throwing around forever. Like if we could go to one place, where would we really?
And Japan. So
it worked for Rivers Cuomo. So
it totally did. So I reached out to Mike and I said, how do we get over there? And he gave me a few names of people who would book bands, and I emailed them, and one of them got back to me, and we planned our first tour of Japan in 2019. And we went over there and we played, I think, 6 shows, and it was incredible. And we were so impressed and we were blown away. And we continued to submit our music to Mike, and he continued to play our music. And we kept trying to get back because 2019 was great. We went in the end of the summer of 2019. And then 2020
we had a new album coming out. Like it was like everything was gearing up to like, okay, we're going to go back in 2020 with this brand new album and all the people that we met. And we're going to.
And then we were shut down for 3 years from getting into Japan. But I kept in touch with Inter Idoru management, and her name is April over in Tokyo. And I've been in touch with her since we went the first tour. So I would, every few months I would reach out. Is Japan letting people back in yet? Are they letting in? And she goes, no, but you will be one of the first people to know when it's ready. And then I believe the middle or late last year, she reached out. She goes, Mike, they're going to let people back in. Are you guys ready? I'm like, we are ready. Let's go back. And we booked a tour for June, I think 6th through the 16th. We're playing 6 shows in like 10 days. And we're getting ready to go over to Japan with a new EP. So it's going to be our second tour of Japan. And it's funny how that all happens, but that's how it all came together. It was just sending emails to people and not being afraid to do so.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like I said, what we talked about earlier, it's like, listen, one person who's in a position to basically help someone be heard.
Yep.
You know, it's like you could be the best band in the world, but if no one hears you and you don't get that exposure, then it's whatever. You're just a good band. You
Yeah.
know, this guy is like, hey, I really like this. I'm in this position. I'm going to push it out and have people respond to it. So, I mean, man, you know, that's what keeps the world going around. So
That's right.
cool.
It's
Well,
just
listen,
that's why we track our stuff. Because if we see something happening somewhere, it's like, okay, we got to follow up with that.
yeah,
You know, because stuff can happen and lights go on and off all the time of like, oh, what's happening over there? Okay, let's check that out. But if we don't do the follow up and like look into it, it's like, well, just send an email. If they don't respond, they don't respond. And then we know that's not a door that exists. That was just a thing that happened. So it's always just see what happens.
If they say
Worst
no,
thing
they
that
say
happens
no.
is nothing.
Yeah.
we're big in Kazakhstan, but I'm gonna have to wait a couple of years to go over there, you know. So
Just keep working that Kazakhstan connection.
I got my man Borat out there, so you know he's gonna hook that tour up. Cool. Listen, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for, you know, I guess just doing the show. This is what we do. We have a bunch of random episodes, and I'm glad we got to hang out. I got to know shit more about you and the band. I heard the whole new EP. I think it's fucking awesome. Very good, very catchy. Really just, I don't know, just instantly pleasing to the ear. So I think it's gonna be, I think people are gonna love it.
Thank you.
And that's it. I'm gonna put it out on Monday. And I guess I'll just throw like a song in the beginning, a song at the end, you know, so then people kind of get the feel for it and shit.
Cool.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
And
oh,
I don't know if
another thing too, like this isn't video, by the way. I'm only doing audio.
Yeah.
You know, just making sure, because I'm just, you know, like the video stuff. I'm like, I don't care. I'll just do the audio. No one's gonna stare at us for a fucking hour to listening to us talk, you know. So sorry.
that's why whenever there's a video, I have to remember to not just respond with my hands, because I do a lot of hand talking and I'm like, they don't hear that. You just did a hand gesture. They're not going to know what the hell you. So.
Yeah. No worries. I mean, you know.
But can I add? And I don't know if it's a thing. It's a merch thing. We have merch on our site that goes along with the EP. There's a Trash and Glamour shirt with our new unofficial mascot, Trash Can Travis. It's a little raccoon guy. And until we leave for tour, like everything from our website, all those shirts, you can design your own shirts if you want with any of our logos, tanks, hoodies, t-shirts, any color you want. That's available. All of that stuff is going like towards the tour right now. So anything between now and June 1st is all tour driven. And there's a limited Japanese Bad Mary 2023 tour shirt that is only getting printed once. So if you want it, you got to order it by June 1st, and then it's never being made ever again. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, very cool. I just send me all the links. I'll just put it up.
We'll do.
So then I'll just put it up in the episode. I'll put it out Monday. And thank you so much for hanging out with me, being in the video, all that other shit.
Yeah, that was fun. I had a good time.
Cool. All right.
Had a good time doing the video. But yeah, thank you so much. And we're always happy to like do stuff like this if you ever want other guests. I'll sit and talk pop culture for years. So
yeah, like the last things we did. So like we just did like a top 10 De La Soul songs.
Oh, cool.
We did. So we'll do, you know, we have a bunch of people on, like movie directors.
That's awesome.
We have like a big ass fucking catalog of just like, you know, random stuff. So yeah, and anytime you just come back, you know, we'll talk.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much for having us.
Mike.
Yeah, you're awesome.
Amanda. Awesome. Later.
Have a good night.